The Beast is the new king of Kota. A warm welcome to After the Flag. Myself, Lewis Sotheby, and Simon Craterfire here to break down all the action from round 4 of the MotoGP World Championship here at the Circuit of the Americas. A Grand Prix won by Enea Bastianini, his second Grand Prix win of the season as he regains the World Championship lead. Alex Rins with second place for Suzuki as he moves into second place in the standings, and Jack Miller back on track and back on the podium in third place. But there are so many more stories from this Grand Prix which we'll get into over the course of the next half an hour or so as we review all the action here from Austin. A race, Simon, it was an interesting race, a bit of cat and mouse in the early stages, a bit of time management going on. So often we say in MotoGP, when it is a game of time management and managing that rear tyre towards the end of the Grand Prix, Enea Bastianini is the guy we look towards. That's exactly how it panned out.
Yeah, you did right. I mean, he's an exciting guy, and he's showed that a few times in the past, and early this year, and now again. He's not always the fastest man, but and like he was impressed with Jack's speed, meaning that was as fast as he wanted to go. You know, Jack was pushing the pace in the beginning, but the ability to save, he said he saved his tyres. You know, careful with everything, and then push on at the end, you know, using what he had left is awesome, you know, for his experience level. Not many guys come into this class and can do that straight away. His team say with the one lap, you know, they told me last year with the one lap ability, he struggles. He's really gentle with the throttle. He doesn't just go bang like, so probably why he doesn't destroy the rear tyre, but the ability to keep it flowing and keep the lap time going is amazing.
It almost feels, and this is a measure of just how good Enea Bastianini is in just his second MotoGP season, it feels that once he's in second place and he's closing in like that, it almost feels inevitable that he's going to make that move, as if there's an area of inevitability that he's going to take the victory from there. And the fact that even at the end of the race, the final 2 laps of the race, he was still banging away in the mid-203s, yeah, that's ominous for the opposition.
Yep, and like, again, for his level of experience, what he does, and what the lack of mistakes when he gets out in front is super impressive. Much like Jorge Martin when Jorge's doing it. Yeah, the new generation. I mean, they're both, those two guys, how exciting is it for Ducati to have Martin and now, you know, today Bastianini showing what they can do. Super exciting and, like you said, ominous for the future.
Well, we're going to bring you reaction from each of the top 3 from today's Grand Prix of the Americas. Let's start then with Enea Bastianini, a second Grand Prix win for him of the season. 2 in 4 starts. He's back on top of the MotoGP World Championship, and he's speaking to Jack Appleyard.
Win of the year. Tell me how good it feels to have that cowboy hat on.
The feel is amazing because it's a really hard race. Yesterday, my qualifying has been not really nice. I'm crashing after I bring the bikes and I try to make a good lap. But second row, it stay possible for me today, trying to opportunity to go on the podium, and was important to stay soft and riding relaxed the first part of the race, because to save a little bit the body and also the tire. And when I see Rins very close to me, I understand now it's time to push to go on the front. And I overtaking Jack and also Jorge Martin. I make a gap and I win this race in Texas. It's really nice for me.
It looked like the perfect strategy today. Was there any point during the race you thought that the victory was maybe just starting to get away from you?
Yeah, really in the middle of part of the race, I think I could go on the podium because Jack was too fast. But when I changed something in the first sector, I have make a very good step in the lap time, and I understand, okay, now I can win also the race.
At the start of the season, if someone would have said to you, after 4 races, before we head to Europe, you'll win 2 races and lead the World Championship, what would you have said?
Yeah, it's fantastic for me, for the guys of the team, for my friend, for everybody, And now there is a lot of European race, and I think here it's more difficult because many riders are too close. Especially, I think will be more difficult the qualifying, but we are competitive and we have to stay only concentrated and to fun, no?
Always having fun's the most
Having
important
fun,
thing.
yes.
It's a simple question. Can you win this World Championship?
Can be possible, but for the moment I'm happy without pressure.
How are you going to enjoy tonight? I heard in Parc Fermé a hamburger. I mean,
Hamburger is the best option, and later one margarita, and we will see.
you deserve it. You deserve a burger with bacon, cheese, everything.
Bacon, cheese, everything.
Everything.
Yes.
Well done today,
Cheddar
Enea.
cheese. Yeah.
Cheddar cheese.
Cheddar
Okay,
cheese.
we'll get one lined up for you. Enea, well done. We'll see you in Portugal.
Thank you.
Well, whatever party we're at, we want to be at the party that Enea Bastianini's at later on today. He's such a fun-loving guy, but you also heard there what a clear thinker he is on the bike during the Grand Prix, the way he figured that out during the race. And with all that in mind, I have to ask you the same question that Jack asked him. World Championship contender?
I mean, it's really early to say, and I think he felt the same. It's so early. We've only had 3 races, but he has the class, yeah. He's just got to... I mean, to win a championship is super hard, you know, super. There's so many, I mean, there's teens of races left, and to put it all together without a big mistake is very, very difficult. So I think it's too much to throw at him at the moment, but he has the class. He's unreal. The natural ability to manage the tyre, manage the race, learn in the race, adjust things in the race to improve the lap time. Not most people get in the race and they're already like this, and they don't seem to find something more. To do that, you hear Kevin Schwantz and that back in the day saying things like that. It's that sort of class to be able to do it. So awesome.
Yeah, brilliant victory for Enea Bastianini. Second place today was Alex Rins after a last lap battle with Jack Miller. We'll come on to Jack in a moment, but Alex Rins rediscovering that form that we saw towards the end of 2020 and also midway through 2019 where we saw him take that victory ahead of Marc Marquez at Silverstone. Suzuki certainly are in the game, aren't they, in 2021, but they're being led by Alex Rins, and the way he systematically, methodically just picked his way through the field, one by one, the overtakes that were so clean, or yeah, aggressive but clean, just showing the class of the man. He's back to his best, isn't he?
Yeah, I think Alex has always had the speed. He's always had the possibility to do what he did today. He's always looked fantastic on the bike, does amazing things with it, keeps the tyre going. He's smooth and flowing, very good for the tyres actually, maybe even more so than Joan Mir. But he's always made mistakes. And this year, he's had both luck, meaning being able to save crashes that almost happened. You know, there is a bit of luck in that as well as good management. But there's something so far this season that Alex is doing, and that is not making the mistakes, you know, being able to manage the dangers, because there's always hurdles getting thrown at you every lap, a few times a lap, and he's figured out how not to go down, and I'm really happy for him. Like, I hope he can keep this run going.
Yeah, he came from the third row of the grid, as Suzuki so often do. Yeah, he didn't exactly make the great progress in the first lap that we would expect. He was still stuck behind Fabio Quartararo in those early stages. But as I mentioned, the way he picked off those oppositions, fast riders on fast bikes on the Ducatis, the way Alex Rins was able to pick them off is a measure of how good he is. The one thing that Suzuki is still missing, I suppose, is that little bit extra in qualifying, because potentially Alex Rins could have walked away from this back-to-back with 50 points.
Yes, but I think they've made a good step. You know, they've made the step engine-wise. They've got that device working, which both of those things were missing last year, and I think that helped cause some overriding or trying to make up the difference. You know, with on the entry. And I think with the engine being a bit better, the device working good, the package is good enough now that they don't have to take silly risks, keep the lap time going, keep the tyres going, and I think both Alex Rins and Joan Mir, I think Joan Mir is like a fin in the water, you know, Jaws music just behind the leaders, because we're going to get back to Europe like Bastianini just said, and then I think there's going to be some other guys show their cards a little more. These away races throw up some strange results sometimes, and not saying today was because the boys did the job, but when you get back to Europe, everyone's closer, the battle's harder. So yeah, the Suzuki boys are right on it.
Well, let's hear from Alex Rins then. Second place for him today. He seemed more jubilant than perhaps we've ever seen him finishing on the podium in MotoGP. Second place for Alex Rins today. He's up to second in the World Championship. He's now talking to Jack.
Alex, many congratulations. We said before the weekend that you love this place, and it's just been proved true again. Another podium finish here in Austin. You must be absolutely thrilled with it.
I'm super happy. Thank you so much. Sincerely, I didn't expect the podium because in the first laps I was struggling a little bit. I lose a bit of positions. So then lap by lap I was trying to push a little bit more the tires, to brake a little bit late, to try to overtake the people. And then when I was third, I was saying, okay, I had two big moments on the front in the first sector. That since I was super fast, I was recovering everything there. So I had two small mistakes there. And I say, okay, Alex, try to finish the race. But then the last laps, the pace was not so bad, so I was able to arrive to Jack and overtake him. So I'm so happy for the second position. We need to keep working like this.
That decision you made after a few moments on the front end, is that a decision that you would have made last year? Because you look like a totally different rider this year. The first time you've had back-to-back podiums since 2020.
Thank you. Sincerely, I'm trying to do things a lot in the bike. I'm riding a little bit more free, and also this small advantage that we have on the straight help us to be a little bit more relaxed during the race.
So is that the key to you being a different rider this year? You're not having to exert as much through the corners, knowing that you can relax down the straights?
Can be.
One of many things, I'm sure, and you're now...
I work also a lot the mental part, the gym part a lot. We work a lot during this winter. Maybe also thanks to this, I can be like more relaxed or more constant.
Now only 5 points off the World Championship leads.
Wow.
Second behind Enea. This looks like it's going to be a really strong season for you. Does it feel like you're really building some momentum?
Well, we are in the fourth race, still a lot of races to the end. You give me a good thing saying that we are at 5 points, because I didn't know. So we need to keep the feet on the floor and trying to keep going and keep working.
Alex, congratulations, a well-deserved podium.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can confirm, Alex, you are just 5 points off the MotoGP World Championship lead. And interesting what he mentioned there. We touched upon what you touched upon, the fact that the improvements with that Suzuki are just making him a lot calmer on the bike. The fact that he's been working with a mental coach as well over the winter, which is something Fabio Quartararo used to great effect in the winter leading up to the 2021 season. We know the talent that Alex Rins has, as you mentioned. He is such a talented rider, but he looks like he's now putting that full package together and feeling much more like a complete Grand Prix rider.
Yeah, when he said about riding more free and relaxed, I think part of me said about not having to go, into every corner trying to make up for what he was losing. I think that's part of it. But the other bit I felt is thinking about being free and relaxed on the bike is being able to feel what is going on better, to enable you to feel the dangers, save the almost crashes. And like I said, this weekend was, it's every weekend, like last weekend in Termas as well, very easy to crash, very easy to lose the front. And I think I've never heard so many complaints about front end as here. Just, it's tough on the front end here. There's nothing anyone could do about it. And he saved those crashes. And it's like Jack mentioned, I don't know if the old Alex would have, and good for him. I hope he can keep it going.
Well, he took second place on the final lap ahead of Jack Miller, who led this Grand Prix for so long from the front row of the grid. He led that Grand Prix in the early stages ahead of Jorge Martinez. The Pramac Ducati riders slipped back, of course. It was Alex Rins and Enea Bastianini who would move forward into the podium positions. But from Jack Miller's point of view, of course, third place wasn't necessarily what he came here for. He was chasing the win for so long in that Grand Prix. But you can't keep a good man down, can you? And from his back against the wall after a really tough time in Argentina, what a way to bounce back.
Jack is a great guy. I think similar to Danilo Petrucci, the paddock love him. And when he does well, like we know he can, he's got the speed. It's been a little bit up and down again, and I'm so happy, like everyone, to see him back on the podium and show the speed. You know, everyone said about how fast he was at the beginning of the race. And Enea Bastianini in the interview there, Jack is fast, you know, and he managed to keep the tyres going almost to the point of winning, you know. Just the last part, Enea managed something better, but super happy to have Jack back.
Yeah, the 10th different rider to finish on the podium in this 2022 season already, and we're only in the 4th Grand Prix of the season. Let's hear then from Jack Miller, the Australian, led for so long in the Grand Prix. 3rd place for him, a first podium of the season, and a first podium for the factory Ducati team. Jack Miller is speaking now to Jack Appleyard.
I was pushing from the beginning. It was a long, lonely old race out the front there, just trying to push away my lap times, but no, I started to struggle there a little bit at the end, and now I was able to come past, and then I made a couple too many mistakes. Once I got passed by now, just getting sucked in on the braking zones and stuff like that, so that's kind of what cost me the 2nd place as well. So a bit disappointed about that, but nevertheless, I mean, we had a solid weekend, and you know, we needed that. It was nice to get that. Yeah, back on the box, so a few more points on the board, so we'll go into the European part of the campaign now on reasonable terms and hopefully be able to kick things off.
We all know what happened just 7 days ago, so just how important was it to bounce back in a manner like you've done this weekend?
No, really, I mean, generally seems to be the way with me. I need to get put right down to the bottom before I really, you know, get a kick up the arse and pull my finger out. So, no, I don't know. Last week was one of those weekends you just want to forget, and this weekend's one of those ones you want to remember. So we'll just try to keep more of these and less of them.
And on that final lap as well, you and Alex were throwing everything at each other, but keeping it pretty clean as well. It was Definitely a great battle.
I rate battling with Alex. We've done it for a long time now, and it's always clean, and it's always nice to fight with him. And no, it was a good scrap at the end there, both him and I tussling. I was trying to ride protective as I could, but he fired it in, and no, I just was struggling a little bit on the left-hand side of the rear tyre. And I thought, I'll be able to square this up, maybe it'll go a bit wide, but honestly, as soon as I grabbed the gas, she went sideways and didn't go forwards. I was like, come on, all right, try to set it up again in the last corner. It just didn't happen, but no, he rode a fantastic race, you know, everyone did, so hats off to the boys. They did a great job, and yeah, hopefully next year.
Just finally, you've waited a long time to have your family here with you, and they picked a good weekend to be able to celebrate a podium with you. That must mean just that little bit extra for you.
Definitely, you know, it's awesome. The last Grand Prix for them was Valencia 2019. We finished on the box there, and you know, a lot's happened between now and then, but we're back on the podium here, so that's cool, really cool. And no, it has been really a nice pleasure to have my parents here this weekend. Throughout COVID and whatnot, not being able to get them to a Grand Prix has been pretty shitty, so it's really cool to have them back.
I'm sure you'll enjoy a beer together tonight. Well done, Jack.
Cheers, mate.
Classy interview from a classy guy, Jack Miller, on the podium today. Pecco Bagnaia, his teammate, finishing in 5th position, just behind Joan Mir. Of course, a 2021 Ducati won the Grand Prix today, but are they starting to now get to the bottom of this and starting to really explore the potential, the limits of the potential of that 2022 machine?
Well, as they said from the beginning of the year, Jack and Pecco have a hybrid, you know, between the two. Martin's bike was slower, you know. It looked obviously slower. Anyway, so meaning to compare, it looks like the full 22 bike for some reason is a little slower. They said it's got real potential. But anyway, we know the 21 bike's great. Bastianini's on here, the light blue coloured one. Then Jack, I know his bike's good. You know, it's a combination of the two. You know, it's a difficult race, as I said, at this circuit to manage. Jack mentioning the braking area there. When you have a slipstream behind someone, it obviously accelerates you, but then if you're behind them, the braking is worse as well because you don't have the air resistance, and it's really easy to make a mistake, and that's what Jack was talking about. You get in too hot because of the slipstream and then no wind resistance on the way in, and then you just get punted a few metres wide. But super happy for Jack and his family. His dad is a legend on the barbecue, whole animals, respect. You know I love barbecues. They'll have a great time tonight.
Well, a lot of the entertainment today was provided by the original King of Kota. Marc Marquez finished in 6th position in the end, but that doesn't even come close to explaining what kind of an adventure he had in the Grand Prix this afternoon. He was stone last into turn 1 in this Grand Prix. Just put into context to us, just try and put into words how impressive a ride that was. Given how far behind he was at the end of the first lap, he had race-winning pace throughout, came through to the top 6.
People give us a hard time, the commentators, about being pro-Marc too much. I am not pro-Marc too much. Purely looking at his riding today, nothing else, he was phenomenal. Like, this is an absolute disaster that I don't think anyone else would have come back from. Absolute disaster. You're dead last, and on a track that's so easy to make a mistake. He's riding a bike that isn't fully sorted yet. You know, nobody else can make it go like he does, and look at him go and taking risks, and not taking risks, but not falling off. It's right on a knife edge, and he came through to what position?
6th in the end, yeah.
Unbelievable. Matched the fastest times of the race. There's no doubt he was in there. If he'd got the start, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that he'd be fighting for first. You know, the thing is, Enea was managing the race like you would if you got a good start. He didn't have the chance to, so that we'll never know if Enea could have, you know, fought him off. There's a good chance, I think. Just what a ride. It was unbelievable, and everybody in the championship will be worried about what they just saw today. You know, just come back from an injury, again, a massive crash, and does that. It's like, wow.
Whatever the situation, Marc Marquez is box office, no question about that. What a brilliant recovery through the field for him. He had a great battle in the final stages as well with the world champion Fabio Quartararo. We'll touch on him briefly in just a second. But firstly, let's hear from Marc Marquez. Let's see if we can get to the bottom of what happened to him on the first lap of the Grand Prix. Here he is.
Marc, an incredible comeback from the back of the field to finish 6th is quite incredible. First of all, I know you're going to get asked it a lot. Can you just explain to us exactly what happened from the start?
Yeah, I mean, disappointed, of course, because the speed was there. I enjoyed a lot on the race, starting from the back, but okay, 25 points today were possible. But yeah, we had a technical problem on the start. As soon already some message on the screen before start, and then I start, and since first corner was like was not the pit limiter in, but was like something happened on the bike. But then when disengage everything, the whole shot device and everything, the bike started to work in a good way. So from that point, I was last, even far from the last guy, and I started to recover many positions. I did a few mistakes, but it's normal, overtaking many riders, and we finished 6th. So yeah, speed was there. Confidence, I go out from here with a higher confidence, so this is the most important.
And just take us through that comeback ride. There was, as you say, some big moments in there. Into turn 1, you had a big wobble through turn 10, and the fight with Fabio as well. Did you nearly lose the front when you came to
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that when you overtook riders here are very difficult, especially in the first laps, because the slipstreams is so difficult to stop with the slipstream, it's so difficult to stop the bike, and in turn 1 I was very lucky, and I mean I tried to stop, but then when I saw that it was not possible to stop, I find a small gap between Nakagami and Binder, and I released the brakes to don't hit anybody, you know, and this was the most scary moment. Then I had a moment in turn 10 also, and also then a nice battle with Fabio. I was destroyed in the end because you know, I push from the first lap, I push everything. When you start in front, then you can manage your physical condition, you can manage the tires, but when you start on last position, I just give everything. Last 5 laps I was destroyed. In T1 and T2 I was losing a lot because the change direction I was very slow. But anyway, I keep Fabio behind, just 1 point more, but okay. The most important is that our confidence are higher.
Just finally heading to Portimao next. Is it actually a race like that, to have been at full gas, the full race, the best thing possible to prepare you for Portimao and our return to Europe?
Yeah, now it's time to come back home, relax. I mean, breathe, because it was so stressful these last weeks and also this GP. But yeah, try to prepare Portimao. We know that in Portimao, top 5 position maybe can be a nice position, but just I don't fix any target. I mean, we need to continue in that way. Just try to understand what is our level now, right now, and then still keep going. Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant ride from Marc Marquez. He certainly never gives up, does he? When he looks back on this Grand Prix later on in the season, he might look at this as still a bit of a turning point, even though he didn't get the result that he came for. The most important thing, we heard it a few times during that interview from Marc Marquez, that he leaves this weekend with boosted confidence. This was really what he came here for.
Yeah, yes, it's a good track for him. So, I mean, if the bike settings are all upside down, he'd still do something impressive here. He might find it a little tougher because I don't think they've sorted that bike out. You know, listening to all the debriefs, nobody sounds completely happy, you know, here. So it's going to be tough going back to Europe. I think the team are going to be so happy, Honda, knowing that Marc is back. You know, everyone knows he's back. Going to Europe, the thing is, so people don't think that I'm a Marquez fan, because I'm sick of people saying that we are. Marc doesn't give a monkeys about us journalists. I never even get to talk to him on a normal level, you know, like all the other riders, because he doesn't want to talk to us, you know. So I'm not a big fan of Marc. But when he gets on the bike, I love what he does. I love his riding. It's truly awesome. And he's still in with a chance for the championship after everything. Brand new bike, injuries, meaning double vision. He's here. He's dangerous.
3 other factories we haven't touched upon, so let's quickly rattle through them before we go. Starting with Yamaha and Fabio Quartararo, finished in 7th in the end. That's kind of bad about where Yamaha are at the moment, isn't it? Fabio did absolutely everything he could. Seemed as if he was swimming against the tide throughout that Grand Prix, against the Ducatis and the Suzukis, and of course Marc when he came through. It has to be said, Fabio Quartararo squeezed every last drop out of that M1.
Again, you know, I'm a big fan of Fabio on and off the bike, because he is at a disadvantage. The bike is slower. Nobody else can make it go like he does. He does some special things. Even the other riders say that, how he just... Morbidelli said 2 nights ago, Saturday night, that he has the ability to squeeze everything possible out of the bike, and like every time and every lap. And that's awesome. That's what a manufacturer wants a rider to do with their machine, you know. And it's a tough one here, big long straight. Fabio didn't have a great qualifying and position, so it was hard to be at the front, hard to overtake, but he again did a great job. So when he's going to get to other tracks that are better for the Yamaha, and he's still going to win some, I think.
Well, Portimao and Jerez up next, 2 Grand Prix that he's very, very strong at. Portimao, of course, he won the first race there last year. In Jerez, of course, he took his first 2 MotoGP victories there. So keep an eye out for Fabio Quartararo. Just finally then, before we go, the 2 success stories, arguably, of the first Grand Prix of the season, Aprilia and KTM. KTM, I think, will just be glad to get out of here and get back to Europe. And Aprilia, the big, suppose, positive to come from Aprilia's weekend, Maverick Viñales building that confidence once again, finishing inside the top 10. Yeah,
KTM... Like I always say, they're not far away. There's obviously something not right, and they couldn't find it here, but they won't give up. And whatever is wrong won't affect them at some other tracks while they're busy trying to figure out what this problem is, so they don't have it again. It's something setup-wise, or you know what I'm saying, balance-wise, because they just pushed the front everywhere here. You know, there's a whole series of left, right, and they just couldn't keep it going, you know, couldn't keep confidence in the front tyre and keep it on line, and all of them suffered, all the KTM riders, but they'll be back. There'll be a track coming soon that does suit their bike, it doesn't show this weakness, and they'll be back, and their riders are good. You know, Miguel has some brilliant days, so we'll see them back on top. Brad squeezes out everything every Sunday. They'll be back. So Aprilia, I think that bike is good. It hasn't shown a weakness yet, you know, and I think they're going to be strong every race, you know, good, not as up and down as the KTM has been. And Maverick. It wasn't an amazing ride that we know Maverick can do, but it was another good, solid one, and I think they're building momentum. So hopefully before the end of the year, we see Maverick do something special as well.
Well, all 6 manufacturers will head to Europe with cause to be optimistic then, but it is Enea Bastianini that leads the MotoGP World Championship to Europe. 2 weeks' time, join us for the Tissot Grand Prix of Portugal. We look forward to your company there. Myself and Simon will see you there. It's Bastianini that leads the championship to Europe. We will see you in 2 weeks in Portimao.
Who's going to be our King of COTA in 2022? Great launch off the line by Jorge Martin. Likewise, Jack Miller. Here comes Fabio Quartararo as well on the inside. Where's Marc Marquez?
He's plumb last,
he missed the
He
start.
had a terrible start. Marc Marquez didn't get away at all. He is right at the very back of the field.
So it's Jack Miller that leads them from the pole man, Jorge Martin. As we expected, 4 Ducatis inside that top 4. Great start for Fabio Quartararo.
You can see Rins now closing in on the back, and out here go Zarco.
That's immediately better though.
Bastianini on Martin.
Ladies and gentlemen, who is the fastest man on the circuit? Here comes the move on the inside, using the slipstream, and now Bastianini then leads. He hits the front at turn 12 for the first time. Here comes Alex Rins. This has been his favourite overtaking spot in the whole race. On the inside of Miller into turn number 11. He's in second. Enea Bastianini, all hail the new King of COTA in 2022.